violence. Domestic violence takes many forms, including physical, sexual, emotional, and mental. Traditionally, domestic violence is committed against females, but in recent times, there have been cases of domestic violence committed against men, a few resulting in death. Common forms of violence against women in Nigeria are rape, acid attacks, molestation, wife beating, and corporal punishment. The social context of violence in Nigeria is based largely on its patriarchal society. The perceptions of domestic violence vary based on region, religion, and class. Today on Dateline 360, our focus is on domestic violence in Nigeria. We'll examine all the factors linked with domestic violence as we bring you reports from across the country. Welcome to the program. Glad to have you tune in once again. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Effective communication, commitment, and tolerance, religious leaders and marriage counselors say, remain the veritable way to controlling the spate of domestic violence and divorce cases in a given society. This reaction came to the fore as NTA Dateline 360 crew sought to know in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, possible causes and effects of domestic violence and divorce, as well as the way out. Edidion Iba takes it from here.
In recent years, the institution of marriage has been in the news, and in most cases for all the very wrong reasons. This is a far cry from the very essence of the once sanctimonious institution, which is the bedrock of any healthy society. To some, the vows taken on the day of the marriage have become mere formalities to complete the marriage ceremony, as some have thrown caution to the wind with regards to keeping to these vows. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, 0.2% of men and 0.3% of women are deciding to end their marriages, and the reasons are varied. Another very worrisome trend is the issue where couples now take laws into their hands by killing each other over issues like infidelity and financial misappropriation. As bleak as this picture looks, should this deter anyone from aspiring to get married?
No, I cannot be scared of getting married because of domestic violence, because most of these things that are happening in our homes today, it is based on our characters and the way we live.
The effect is that those who are yet to be married will be scared, will be afraid. So it has a way of affecting those who are not yet married.
While infidelity has been fingered as a major cause of domestic violence and divorce, other issues like lack of communication, uncontrollable anger, financial misappropriation, and the advent of technology are also issues raised.
Why will a man beat up or kill his wife? Why will a woman beat up or kill her husband? Because there is no love and because there is no submission. We have a lot of cosmetic marriages. Husband and wife wearing ashemi, on Valentine's Day holding hands wearing red. On the surface, superficial, not in depth. We're trying to show love. Love is not flowing out.
Probably because most of our young girls, they are actually getting married for financial reasons. Probably because everybody wants to meet up with the trend of the society. They don't take their time to really find out if they are really, really in love. And so, because of that, they get married, and when they find out those things are not forthcoming, just like they expected, that is why you have high rate of divorce now.
It's inability to manage civilization.
Professor Bene Kanam is a 74-year-old sculptor and marriage counselor. He admits that in the last 41 years that he has been married, the challenges have been surmounted by commitment by both parties.
People, even in the churches, marry without understanding these guidelines. That is why counseling before marriage is so important. There you look at yourself from a theoretical perspective and you know what the problems are going to be. You are not ignorant. So when the problems come, you already have a game plan.
While we agree that infidelity, deep-seated grief, anger, depression, and the level of socioeconomic stress in the society is taking its toll on the marriage institution, what then can be done?
They must know there is a problem. They must admit there is a problem. And then they'll join hands in prayer to the Almighty God. And if they pray faithfully, there's no how God won't intervene in that problem.
There can't be two mad people at the same time. When the man is mad, you have to be the calm one. Same way when the woman is mad, you don't have to start beating her up. You have to just observe her, hold on. Then when you guys are cool, you can talk it out.
By having patience. Have patience in everything. Every marriage will certainly grow up to the point you want.
Interestingly, most of the issues that lead to separation or even death of partners in marriage could be issues that could have been lovingly resolved if the couples communicated more with themselves. The bottom line is this: no two marriages are the same. What works for marriage A may not necessarily work for marriage B.
Yes, Edidiong. Communication and commitment is the way to go. Thank you. Human rights activists, public analysts, religious and traditional leaders, as well as parents, have attributed domestic violence, rising cases of divorce and other social vices in Benue State to moral decadence, erosion of family values, unequal power play, and over-dependence on the social media. They maintain that the complexity of domestic violence is such that requires societal overhaul to remedy its effects on the society. Charles Abba brings us details.
In spite of the existence of a law prohibiting violence against persons in Nigeria, incidences of domestic violence, such as indiscriminate killings, child molestations, battery and wife beating, rape and summary execution, have claimed many lives and maimed others in Benue State. The killing of an airwoman by an airman in Makurdi, killing of a wife by a 33-year-old husband in Boko for alleged infidelity, and the rape of a 13-year-old girl, Ochanya, in Bokolo, are few pointers to domestic violence.
I feel very bad. It really breaks me down emotionally.
It affects my social life because I find it difficult to interact with people because of the depression in my heart.
Some women even go ahead to beat the husband. And you can see cases around where women have stabbed their husbands or done this and that in some families within our society.
State Coordinator, National Human Rights Commission, Joshua Tioye, who emphasized that human rights begin when human lives begin, disclosed that 50% of cases that have been addressed by the Commission are related to domestic violence. Sarikin Hausawa of Makurdi Metropolis, Rayano Sangami, Pastor Joseph Ochai, and a psychologist, Professor Elvis Ihaji, maintain that rising cases of divorce, anger, and falsehood are offshoots of domestic violence, which are deviations from societal norms.
The causes of divorce, it is many. First of all, there are children of nowadays, they don't know the importance of marriage. Secondly, they only regard marriage as something that they will just do it for pleasure.
The world is just against marriage right now because every society is traceable to their home, and whatever go wrong in the family has affected the society.
Internet addiction, which are now taking most of the families, is a major source of conflict in many families because they are not happy with the way it is.
What then is the way out of the menace?
The solution to family crisis is spirituality. It's about spiritual sensitization. People have to be educated.
You should never use your hand, you should never use vulgar words that are not recommended by the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet ﷺ on anybody.
Police Public Relations Officer, Benue State Command, Sewese Anene, who spoke off camera, indicated that reported cases of domestic violence are often investigated, suspects cautioned, and routine follow-up is done to prevent recurrence. Experts say domestic violence is not only traumatic, but has physical, psychological, and emotional effects on the victims, and this usually result in diminishing their positive contributions to the development of the nation.
Charles, thank you for enlightening us on the need for societal overhaul. From Onitsha, Anambra State, Ekene Nduluwe reports that the rising trend of domestic violence has continued to be a source of worry to elders and adjudicators of marital cases who blame the trend on various factors including Western influence and social media. In this report, Ekene looked at the roles of family and society leaders in curbing domestic violence and divorce, especially among young couples.
Onitsha, Anambra State, has witnessed extreme cases of spousal abuses ranging from beating, rape, and even killings. In June last year, a case was reported of a 20-year-old girl who stabbed her 35-year-old husband to death in Nsugbe, a neighboring community to Onitsha. Also in January this year, another case was reported of a man who killed his pregnant wife and threw her corpse from their apartment at the last floor of a 5-story building at Fege, Onitsha. So many factors have been attributed to this rising trend.
Adultery is a killer of marriage, killer of love. Women are jealous. When they are discovered that she's no more number one in your life, that you are looking outside, some will become bitter. You see it. And the cause of this adultery is pornography.
Cases of people seeing the faces they love or they like in social marriage and they start talking about marriage. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Our fathers did not marry that way. So social media has created a lot of problem as far as marriage is concerned, and that will lead to domestic violence.
Many men are flirting with a lot of girls. A lot of girls also flirt with a lot of men. And they have eaten the apple before the main marriage.
The younger generation have lost the value, family values, family ethos, and most of them have distanced themselves from our customs and our culture.
At the Social Welfare Office of Onitsha North Local Government Area, over 20 marital cases have been reported between January and February this year, and majority of these cases are violence-based.
If the violence is leading to threat of life, what the Social Welfare Office will do is to grant them what we call temporary separation, maybe 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, as the case may be, to allow tensions to calm down. I don't understand. And then we now mediate to know how we can remedy the situation. And where it fails, if they are already having children, all right, we talk of the welfare of the children, the maintenance of the children, and we separate them. Then, if they don't like the separation, they still want it further, we now ask them to go to court and seek for divorce.
My father told me, yes, I trained you to be a lawyer, but when you get to your house, you have to be obedient to your husband. Law or whatever you have read stays in the law courts. So that has been the guiding principle. I remember that every time when I am so angry and so pissed, I tend to swallow my pride or whatever it is so that I will have a home.
The question then arose on why marriages in the past are seemingly more successful than present marriages.
At times you see a woman saying, don't be stupid, don't be foolish, you're a foolish man, you're a stupid man, over a trivial issue or minor altercations, something that will not happen in the past.
As a result of the huge influence that families and institutions have on individuals, it is believed that proper upbringing, marriage counseling, courses and seminars will go a long way in correcting some of the anomalies witnessed in today's marriages.
Yes, Ekene, the role of the family, especially parents, is important in curbing domestic violence. The spate of domestic violence of divorce in Kano are identified as some of the major causes of social problems in the state. In this report, Fatima Sanusi Karaye takes a look at how the mention of the word divorce has become so cheap that it features in simple arguments where a husband threatens or a wife demands it.
I came to this court so that I'm looking for assistance because I have a husband. When he divorced me and he left me with 4 kids, then he now said he will not take the responsibility of his children and I'll take him to court now. After that, he now went outside, he's going outside and looking for a woman. After that, he now bring HIV to me now.
32-year-old Khadija narrating her ordeal. Life will never be the same for her and her 4 children. Taking care of her children alone is what she said is weighing heavy on her heart. But that's her life for now. The story is the same with this woman who does not want her name mentioned. Her husband of 22 years divorced her plus her 8 children.
He doesn't pay for their school fees. He doesn't give us food. He doesn't even pay our rent. Now he's divorced me with...
I'm working really hard to get money to help my mother.
This is one of her children striving hard to make ends meet. Assuming leadership position of a father, missing out completely on his childhood. Like many children who are victims of divorce, their right to education, right to healthcare, right to basic needs pass them by. Studies showed that 56% of marriages in Kano State, the word divorce is mentioned in the simplest argument. A husband can obtain divorce by making a proclamation to the wife anywhere, and it stands. From December 2019 to February 2020, 720 cases of domestic violence were reported at the Kano State Hizba Board, where 305 ended up in divorce. Another sad truth is that 32% of marriages survive only a duration of 3 to 6 months, and many of them young women between the ages of 18 and 25. 19-year-old Amina is a living testament. Her husband of 4 months divorced her after he found out she is pregnant for him. What could be the reasons for such behaviors?
So because we're not living by the Sharia, we can't have things right completely. This is one. Of course, and the situation is made worse by, the poverty, prevailing poverty. Of course, we are for. And with this poverty we're talking about, it's not imposed by anybody. We impose it on ourselves. The sad thing perhaps we can add is ignorance. We can't be Muslims and be ignorant. There is no reason for that. We have no justification.
The alarming statistics of divorce in a Sharia court in the metropolis show a staggering figure of 135 divorce cases just between January and February this year.
Most of the children that comes out of domestic violence are found to be depressed. They usually have psychological problems, a lot of psychological problems. They're easily irritated, they're easily angry. Some of them are harsh and things like that. And then there's every tendency that you find most of these children who drop out of school or who engage in truancy are product of domestic violence or they are product of broken marriage. And then apart from that, you find failure in school. You see that their performance in class is not going to be like those of children that have been brought up by 2 parents.
To reduce the rate of divorce, the Kano State government has sponsored mass wedding for over 1,500 couples, where Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje expressed his intention to present a bill to the Kano State legislatures on divorce issues.
People with vested interests have been lobbying for the adoption of a law that would focus on reducing high rate of divorce in the state. For now, the life of Khadija and other victims of divorce, children and women, are shattered forever.
Interesting report, as usual, Fatima. Thank you. One major issue facing the domestic violence issues in Nigeria are the tendency for low reported cases. One main reason for the high level of under-reporting is it is seen as taboo to involve the police in family matters. On the 25th of May 2015, the Violence Against Persons Bill was signed into law. According to its 2011 version, the legislation contains provision banning various forms of gender-based violence, including female genital mutilation, denial of inheritance to or forced marriage of widows, sexual violence, and violence against girls, such as early or forced marriage. While the language of the text is largely gender neutral, violence in Nigeria disproportionately affects women, girls, and other vulnerable segments of the society. As a result, proper implementation of the legislation will undoubtedly greatly impact the lives of the Nigerian society. That's it on Dateline 360 today. Thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Ojije Ochi. Until next week, it's goodbye.